The Mike Goolsby Show is back, ladies and gentlemen. We're live on the Blue and Gold YouTube page, and you can listen to this via podcast format as well. Thank you guys for making us a part of your day, whether you're tuning in the morning, the afternoon, the evening, wherever you may be, however you're tuning into the show. Again, thank you very much for making us a part of your day. I'm Mike Singer, thankfully the co-host of this great institution when it comes to Notre Dame football takes and coverage for, I don't know, years, 2020 seasons when we started doing this thing, Mike. And here we are going on season, what, number 4? Is that math?
I think.
5? 5th season? So how about that, dude?
Feels like 5, could be 4. Either way, yeah. I'm thankful you dragged me into this half a decade ago. Good to see you, Mike.
Yeah, good to see you as well. So weekly during the football season, we'll be doing this show on Sunday nights. Is that still good with you, Ghouls?
Yep.
Okay, so Sunday nights, we'll be doing the Mike Goolsby Show weekly during the season. And then the off season, we do about every 3 or 4 weeks. Probably should do a little bit more, Mike, but you know how the cookie crumbles sometimes. So We're back, though. We got some off-season topics to discuss, Mike. And the first one we're going to go to is this comment that Ryan posted like a few hours before the show even started. I'm pulling up the tweet now. So this was a quote from an anonymous coach put in the Lindy's magazine. Quote from, again, an anonymous coach. Marcus Freeman hasn't exactly been Newt Rockne over there. I'll tell you what, the real glue to this team is Al Golden. Have you seen this quote yet, Ghouls?
Of course. Yeah.
Can I give my take on it?
Please.
Because I posted this on Instagram as well, and I'm sure the Twitter responses to this, we tweeted this at BGI News. I'm sure the Twitter responses to this are through the roof. My take, I think that everyone's very upset because I think this is a slight at Marcus Freeman. I think this is the biggest compliment to Marcus Freeman, Mike. This is complimenting that hire. I mean, there's no Al Golden. Like, who hired Al Golden? Who's in the position to be the Notre Dame head coach? So if you're going to say that Al Golden's the glue to the team, that's fine. Because it's Freeman's program. Freeman hired him. Freeman's still in control. And I mean, if you're telling me one of them would have to go, I would still say Golden. Like, bye. I think that this is a kind of a compliment to Freeman as a head coach. That's how I initially view it. I know that it's probably not meant to be a compliment to Freeman. And the other side of it is pumping up Al Golden. We could just look at it as a slight to Freeman, but I see it as a compliment to Freeman's hiring. And also, you got a really great DC. I don't see it as this big slap in the face deal.
A few thoughts. I don't put a ton of weight into anonymous quotes. It's like anonymous comments on a Twitter or YouTube channel, whatever else. That being said, it certainly wasn't meant as a compliment. That's glass half full Singer, which we always appreciate. Your interpretation of it.
I said it. I don't think it was a compliment, but I go ahead.
Well, I like your angle, right? And that Freeman brought Golden on board. The glue piece. So if Golden is the glue to the team, that doesn't necessarily compute to me. Are they trying to say, Golden's the best coach on staff, or he's a more accomplished coach than Coach Freeman? Sure. I mean, I think that's kind of inarguable. And I think the way Freeman set this thing up, like we said, that gray hair sandwich with Golden on the defensive side of the ball and Denbrock on the offensive side of the ball, Freeman gets to be the face of the program, the Energizer Bunny on the recruiting trail. He's everywhere, Mike. He was at a WWE event. Maybe you saw that. I mean, that's what Freeman's here for, to be the face of the program, reinvigorate things. In the way that it's set up, it's close to perfect as he continues to get himself caught up as an actual head coach and specifically in game.
Yeah. Yeah, you put more eloquently than I did. But yeah, we're on the same page on that one, Mike. We're on the same page. Great shirt, by the way.
So, oh, thanks, man. I got this at the spring game, Always Irish tailgate. One of John's guys was handing out T-shirts. So yeah, man, it's a steal. I've got a closet over here with a podcast wardrobe. So I try to keep them a fresh rotation of ND related T-shirts.
I like it.
So much so my parents came to visit at the new house, and my dad came armed with like a dozen T-shirts that he had in some bin somewhere, from 20 years ago. So I've added to the collection. So it's pretty cool.
Nice.
But hey, Mike, real quick as we kick this thing off.
Yeah.
I made a promise over the weekend. Was at a really awesome, super fun wedding, really nice wedding. It's on the groom's side, they're Notre Dame fans, pretty diehard. So much so that they played the fight song during the wedding reception. It was awesome. But there was a gentleman there, older gentleman, Mike. I think he was 87 years old. He's on the dance floor. Never seen anything quite like it, if I'm honest with you, the way this he's a wild man out there on the dance floor. And I think the Notre Dame fandom in this particular family is passed down through Ray, as it were. A lot of people watching is probably the same way. So I just wanted to give Ray Barson a shout out. I told him and his family I would. It's great getting to know you. But anyways, back to the show.
Ray. Shout out Ray. That's awesome. Yeah, the Notre Dame fan base is so special, Mike. It really is. I've covered my fair share of schools in my 11 years in this business, and someone asked me on the message board the other day, how is Deuce Knight able to be at Notre Dame as much and do all this different travel he's doing? Is he out of school? And they asked me this question like a week ago, and I'm like, it's June 17th. Like, yes, he's out of school. Like, who's in school on June 17th? Only the Notre Dame fan base would be able to have people comment and correct me about how there are counties in 30 states, all these people chime in and, in New York, well, in Washington State. Oh, I'm telling you, so only the Notre Dame fan base, Mike. When I covered Oregon State, 8-9 years ago, I would only get feedback from people in Oregon. Notre Dame, dude, everywhere. We have international fans. We have tons of fans that read my work and tell me they're from Europe all the time. We got a guy in Germany in our YouTube chat all the time. It's pretty neat, Mike. You get Notre Dame fans everywhere, man.
Whether it's on Twitter, there's different pockets, right? There's a Twitter crowd, there's a message board crowd. All the fans are fairly well informed, very opinionated, and it's an interesting spot where we're in. On the media side of things, where it's like, I used to more than I do now. Before I would start flapping my gums, I'd have to almost think about, well, how is this going to be processed by fans? Like, how are they going to try, to your point about Deuce is out of school, it's in the middle of June. People try to poke holes because they're super well informed. So it makes it a little bit more fun, a little bit more challenging on our end, for sure.
Yeah, they are well informed. I was telling one of my coworkers this week, like, I will spend, let's say I spend 3 hours writing an intel piece that I wrote today, Mike, on Notre Dame recruiting. Like, I did like a stock report on the 2025 targets. We are going to talk about recruiting a little bit. It would take a Notre Dame fan about 15 seconds to skim through the article and read their nuts and bolts, and then they can go read, a bunch of other people, and then read the Texas on 3 side, and then go read the Michigan rivals and all these. I'm just grinding away, and for just a day's work, when people can consume that in just a few minutes and then go on to a bunch of different news outlets. So I have gotten that sense too, that the Notre Dame fans are very well informed. Not only are a lot of them just very smart, but they just read everything, especially the ones on the message board. They got a lot of time on their hands, I guess, Mike, but
I hear you. Yeah. And I've said this before, like, when it comes to recruiting, let's talk about them when they're committed. I personally don't have the bandwidth, the time to keep up with who's visiting campus or whatever. I just, I get paid to do this in a roundabout way. So kudos to those people. Voracious readers. Absolutely.
All right, let's dive into one item of news that came out. I believe this was Friday. Notre Dame. This is a tweet from Jack Sobel. News was all over the place when the Fighting Irish updated their roster, Mike, on Friday. Aiden Gobira and Tyson Ford were not on the updated roster. So, of course, looked around on that one pretty quickly. We're able to confirm that. We had been hearing rumblings for several months that it was kind of trending in this direction. So Aiden Gobira and Tyson Ford, pair of defensive linemen placed on medical scholarship. A team spokesman confirmed to Blue and Gold their careers with the Irish are over. So when you see this news, Mike, what was your initial reaction?
50. I was kind of split down the middle, Mike. Really bummed for Aiden. I thought he was a kid that had a ton of potential. When he showed up on campus, he was a little light, needed to add some pounds. But what I saw from him, and I think he was at the U.S. Army game, Mike, he was one of those rare defensive end, rush edge type guys that actually had some pass rush acumen. He had moves. He had some tools in his arsenal in terms of like counter moves, initial pass rush. And it's rare that you see. Most 4 or 5 star kids, even 3-star kids, they just win on ability, right? They're a little bit bigger, a little bit faster, whatever. So he was a kid that you could tell that had really worked on his craft at the high school level. And you're just like, man, as soon as he puts on that 20, 30, 40 pounds, he's going to be a player for us. But 2 back-to-back ACL tears, super bummed for him. The Tyson Ford one, yeah, here we go. You can see the length with the kid. Like active hands. I'm just telling you, could tell he worked at it. Yeah. And he was just a kid that I was excited for, frankly. The Tyson Ford one is a little bit interesting. And you have to kind of, I guess you have to, or you don't have to, but you can speculate a little bit. And maybe it's for the best that we're all moving on collectively, because wanted to play D end, tried to slide inside to 3 technique, his natural kind of position, went back out to D end. So it's like he's got his own idea in his mind where he's best suited to play versus what Coach Washington, Coach Golden staff might prefer. At the end of the day, he's going to get his Notre Dame degree. You just have to think. I never heard any injury like stories about a Tyson Ford. Am I wrong, Mike? Did you? Yes or no?
I can't remember anything that was this big.
You can neither confirm nor deny, right? So I don't know if there was an injury history. It might have been a little bit of frustration on both sides. We've talked about this for years, guys that are maybe more concerned with that Notre Dame degree than they actually are the football piece to this. So he's going to go ahead and be able to get that Notre Dame degree, network, say you're a football player, whatever. And I'm just sitting there going like, if dude loved football and he was frustrated with his situation here, he would transfer out. He would go elsewhere. I mean, he was a big shot recruit. He was a top 100 recruit.
Yeah, it was.
So I don't know what happened there, but it's not that it's exhausting, but it's like, dude, are you an end or are you a 3 technique? You an end, you a 3 technique, up and down with the weights. He'd have been better served to just stop fighting Mother Nature, slide inside and play 3 technique. I thought he could have been a hell of a player.
Yeah. Yeah, it is too bad. No, it's an interesting take. I hadn't.
And that's total speculation, folks. Total speculation on my end, but I'm just like.
Yeah, the Gobira, we knew about his injury history. My thought was Ford, I just didn't think it was working out, and it seemed like there were other guys jumping him, even some guys that are maybe younger than him. So I just was like, all right, he's gone. And then when it comes out on a medical, I didn't really give it a whole lot of extra thought, like what was the injury. But I'm happy he'll be able to get his Notre Dame degree. But yeah, it is kind of an interesting note. Like he's got plenty of eligibility left, probably 3 more years, right? So,
So like I said, I mean, I'm just reading tea leaves, and I've been around the game, right, dude? So I'm just like,
you have.
So yeah, it wasn't working out. Playing inside, playing outside, and it could have been a hell of a player. But again, like if you know better than the coaches do, whatever was the case, so then you should have transferred out and played strong side defensive end elsewhere. Yeah. But no, you want that Notre Dame degree. So, hey, coaching staff gets that scholarship back. and Tyson Ford can go get his Notre Dame degree. Both parties are happy. We're moving on.
J. Carr says Tonona medically retired. Now he's playing at Purdue. I'm sure Ford will transfer and play post-degree. So the thing about Tonona is that when he medically retired, he left for Purdue like pretty quickly. He didn't get a degree from Notre Dame. He was in the same class as Ford. No, maybe a year later. Maybe Ford's 2023 class. No, Ford was 2022. So was Tonona.
No, Tonona's older than Ford. He might have been one of the first guys. I remember talking about his film. And he got into a car wreck, didn't he, Mike?
Yeah. So Tonona was class of 2022, and I'm fairly sure Ford is in that same cycle. Yes. So they're in the same class. But the thing is, what's Ford going to do? Just take classes at Notre Dame and then transfer out, get his degree, and not play for 2 years? And then, I don't know. I don't know. Would Ford be able to not play for 2 years and then play somewhere else? I don't know. Maybe he could play at a smaller school in Missouri, go back home. I guess it's possible. But
we're moving on. Like I said, I think the kid could have been a hell of a player. I just question how much he loved the sport. Now that it's, I guess the dust is settled, that's where I'm stuck with.
Mike, you want to talk about the wide receiver room? What's on your mind when it comes to that group right now? Someone on the message board posted a thread this week. And Mike, as I said that, someone also said on the board that they wanted your take on that O-line thread that you posted. I know you kind of I'm sorry?
Where do you want to start? Wide receivers or O-line?
Let's do wide receivers and go to O-line next. So someone on the thread did say, who is like your Xavier Watts in terms of like, well, maybe not All-American level, but who's your breakout? Like that player who just really comes out and takes the next step in his game. I said Bo Collins, Mike, and I know you're probably thinking he hasn't done a great deal in 3 years at Clemson. What's he going to do now? I hear you. I'm kind of going from hashtag sources. I hear that Bo is having a tremendous few months in South Bend. I think he's going to become, potentially the top receiver on this team. So I'm going to start you with that, and then you can go wherever you want talking about these receivers.
Yeah, I like Bo Collins. I do. I think he's a Javon McKinley. I can never remember those guys. Miles Boykin. Yeah. I can never remember their names. That 6'2"-ish, big body. They've got a little bit of hops to them, physicality, red zone type guy. I could absolutely see him being a 3rd to 5th round pick down the road. Absolutely.
That'd be huge, dude.
Yeah. There's no doubt. I mean, that's kind of who he is. That's who he is. And I think he had like a prior affinity for Notre Dame, like in terms of his prior high school recruitment. Notre Dame was definitely in the mix. Yeah. So I'm optimistic about Bo Collins, but I'm still, forgive me, a little bit wait and see.
Yeah.
I'm still a little bit wait and see. I mean, he wasn't there for the spring to get himself caught up.
Yeah.
We assume a lot on both sides. We assume things on the positive side. We tend to assume things negatively speaking, depending on, and the truth lies somewhere in the middle. So I'm a little bit wait and see. So I just feel like that. I like talking wide receivers because the past 2 years running, it was sold, or the preseason sentiment was that it was like a strength. And Coach Tim Hyde and myself for 2 years running, but like, hang on, like hold the brakes a little bit, like pump the brakes a little bit. And that's kind of still where I'm at.
And you know what, Mike?
Go ahead.
I think the fans are with you too. I think the fans are kind of wait and see as well. It's very much like the transfer quarterbacks we've talked about so many times. Why doesn't Leonard have as much excitement as Sam did? Is like the fool me once kind of deal. So I think people
you guys got fooled, not me. But as it pertains to the quarterback room and the wide receiver thing, so I'm just spinning down the list. Let me cook, Mike. And if you got like an interjection, please do.
Cook, bro.
So Jaden Greathouse, loved the kid, loved the confidence, loved the swagger, loved him. I'll never forget it. He was at the podium as a true freshman. I've said this before on the show multiple times. He referred to Kenny Minchie as a sweet kid. And he meant it like, he didn't mean anything of it, but I'm like, you're a true freshman talking about a quarterback being like, yeah, he's a sweet kid. Whereas it was just an interesting take. Looked a little stiff last year to me, like a little rigid, a little robotic. Watching him run around this spring, dude, night and day in terms of how he's opened himself up athletically. I asked him at that player dinner, I'm like, dude, did you change anything? Like get a new trainer, whatever? He's like, no, I'm just more confident. So he's not thinking as he's running his routes, whatever. He looks amazing. But then I see that he added 10 pounds on the updated weight chart thing. So I'm like, man, he's carrying 215. If he's listed at 6'1", he's 6 foot-ish, give or take, and he's carrying around 215, that's almost like linebacker size, right? So I didn't love that because I'm like hamstring injuries. We've had a lot of soft tissue stuff. So, but super excited about Greathouse. Colsey, you know my thoughts on Colsey. Jaden Harrison, he's hurt all spring. He's a return guy. I'm not making too much of him. I have no expectations for Jaden Harrison working out of the slot. That being said, like with a helmet and pads on, he looks like a Tyreek Hill clone.
Yep.
I mean, the body type, even watching him, he's not as fast as Tyree, don't get me wrong.
Right.
But the way he's built, dude, looks just like him. We talked about Bo Collins, optimistic, but we need reps. You know, Riley's sitting out the spring. Like I don't gloss over any of that. And I know they're going to be throwing the ball around this summer and, you know, shorts and a t-shirt. It ain't the same. Faison, one of our favorite players. I think he's one of the most special athletes that we have on the team. You know, he's like, is he a slot? Can he play field? Who knows? I mean, there's Jaden Thomas. We'll get to him. Chris Mitchell. This is just where I'm at, Singer. He shows up day one. He gets on the podium. He's talking about 4.3. I don't see it on film. I hope he does run a 4.3. I'm just saying I don't see it on film. And we didn't hear much about Chris throughout the duration of spring. KK Smith, fastest player on the team, I'm told, by the players. Super optimistic.
Yep.
So it's like, do we want a 1-year rental and Chris Mitchell out there to the field, or do you want, you know, a KK Smith that's a homegrown kid? I'm super optimistic. Haven't seen much from him. Redshirted last year. Micah Gilbert, I think he's going to be an awesome player.
Yep.
I think he's going to be an awesome player. Do you have something, Singer? You got to jump in?
Well, I feel it's like I feel like we're having the same conversation about the receivers as we had the past few years about the talent, but the wait and see. But it does feel like this one's different. And I know I said that last year, but it does, right? I mean, it really does. When you go, and I got this pulled up, the 11 scholarship receivers, like you go through every single one. I think for like maybe 10 of the 11, there's reason to be excited, even if it's a little bit about what they could do this year. And I think Mike Brown has said he wants to play 5 or 6 of them or something like that.
Yeah, he said 5. Yeah, I think he actually did say 6. I think he did say 6.
You know,
I mean, Saldate, I'm not that high on Saldate.
I don't expect Saldate or Williams to be impact.
My problem with Saldate, he's got
year,
like a YouTube channel now. Like he's doing a lot of self-promotion before you've even like made it to camp. And I'm not a fan of that, but Mike, maybe I'm just old school. Like the self-promotion thing, like maybe a little bit too premature on my end. It's just, where's your head at to me? But what do I know? But yeah, I think the addition of a Micah Gilbert and a Cam Williams supersedes the loss of a Rico Flores and a Tobias Merriweather.
Yep.
And I think both Cam and Micah have a better hard wiring than Tobias in terms of, you know, infamously I called Tobias goofy. Like I just never felt like he was locked in. And yes, he has all the physical potential in the world, but it's something between the ears.
Man, I hate when you're right, Goolsby. I really do.
Right, a lot more than I'm wrong. But I mean, Micah Gilbert, you could see on his high school film, like he wants to go get it. And then like another thing, just like sitting back, like this spring game, bro, that kid played like every snap as an early enrollee freshman. Not an easy thing to do in terms of conditioning, and like, don't take that for granted. He's a kid out there that should be in high school, but just a big body. he reminded me of, like I said, like an Anquan Bolden. I could forecast him breaking a lot of tackles.
Yep.
You know, and he's probably faster than Anquan Bolden, but Saldate Buckner, we know how we feel about him. Something tells me, man. Hey, man.
Forgot about Buckner.
Don't you dare. Tyler's going to get a chance. At some point over the next couple, 2-3 years, he's going to get a chance to make a little bit of magic happen. But that's about it. And Jayden Thomas is one of these guys that's like, got to get healthy. You always been a little bit heavy. You always been a smidgy of a step slow. We all like you.
Yep.
But like, this is one of those things. And like, yeah, I've said that about Eli Raridan. Like, now's kind of the time.
Now's the time.
Figure it out.
Yep.
What are we doing?
Yep. I will say, I think Caleb Smith or KK Smith might be the surprise of the entire season. I think that is, now that I'm saying it, it probably won't happen because surprises are the things you don't see coming. Not many people saw Faison erupting last year, but I would still call my shot that KK Smith and Bo Collins are going to be, of that receiver group. I wouldn't be surprised if there's two of your like 4 leading receivers. I honestly wouldn't be shocked, and that's definitely some good stuff from #sources. We'll see, obviously, but I just hear from people who see Collins work out that just say he's different. So I'm excited about those guys.
I'm excited about it too. Who was the kid, Mike, that I liked that transferred out, went to TCU? He was a freshman last year.
Braylon James.
KK Smith kind of reminds me of Braylon James. And when I look at that roster, when I look at that room, the 2 SEC kids that I could just see KK Smith playing for Alabama, playing for one of these schools, catching a bubble, catching a slant, putting their foot in their ground, and just go now.
Yeah.
Now go. Is Cam and KK.
Yeah.
In terms of just flat out ability to just open up and fly. Track times are indicative of that. And then when you, like I said, when you just watch their stride, like K. Smith and Cam, I mean, they're beautiful, beautiful runners. So excited about them both.
Yeah. Someone who had Caleb Smith, I call him by his government name. KK Smith had one offer, I believe, when he committed to Texas Tech. And that was it. And then Notre Dame comes and flips him late. Sure, a lot of people weren't happy about it on the message boards, but I think that he's a baller. So I think Notre Dame's got a good one there.
Well, just to reiterate, last thought on the receivers,
please.
I was looking for confirmation, talking to the wide receiver room at that dinner. I'm like, dude, who's the fastest? Because I'm like, it ain't Chris Mitchell, is what I'm thinking to myself. And it's like, oh, KK. That was the answer. And it's like, I know he's a little bit thin. Don't care one bit. The guy can run. And when we're talking about that championship lens, Mike,
he
can go get it. Take the top off of defense, catch it, and go.
Folks, please hit the thumbs up on this show. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe to our channel for more content. Make sure you go to Words Singer. You got this. All right. Make sure you go over to blueandgold.com. It's your home for all things Notre Dame Fighting Irish and football, Fighting Irish football and recruiting coverage. If you're not a subscriber, you can sign up for just $1. And our offer for our podcast and YouTube audience is $1 for 2 months when you use the promo code UND1. So please take advantage of that special offer. It's at blueandgold.com. Sometimes people have a little bit of trouble accessing that. If that's the case with you, you can email me. My email's mike.singer@on3.com. You can also just slide in my Twitter DMs at Mike T. Singer. Couple quick comments here, Mike. Alex says, Singer, how much of a feeling different in potential is just due to Denbrock? To be completely honest with you, none. But now that you bring it up, that even makes me feel even better. That Mike Denbrock's your OC, who's one of the best in the game, for sure. Comment on that, Mike?
I could just piggyback off of that. And again, getting to spend some time with Coach. The play calling, the skill, the experience, all that, double thumbs up. Beyond that, the way that he's like approaching these young men and wanting them to let it hang and go have fun and go compete and all of that, I think is where Denbrock's at in his career, the amount of money he's being paid, all of this stuff. He's like, dude, let's go have fun. Let's go compete. Go let your ability, your skills take over. So that's a challenge for those players, that quarterback room, you know what I'm saying? To play with a little bit more abandon. And that's going to be kind of a challenge for Denbrock to get that across to those kids, and for those kids to change their approach to the way that they've maybe been taught to play in the past. But it's all good all the way around. It's all good stuff.
Mike, tell us about the Patreon. How's the Patreon doing? How much content are you doing with my boy John Kennedy? How's everything going?
So much content. Like we film a couple times a week. It's interesting. Patreon's interesting because, you know, John has his mind and his fan analysis, his like sentiment on things, and I kind of come in a little bit more black and white, and it's a really nice balance. And it's fun because neither one of us have the answers. There's a lot of pontification, and we just ask questions, right? And we can get into this a little bit, but into the season, Mike, thanks for the opportunity to plug.
Yeah, of course.
We're going to be doing film breakdown with a couple ex-Notre Dame players, which is going to be really fun. I've got access to the All-22 now. And then on Monday nights, we're doing Monday Night Raw. So it's wide open chat. So if you're a Patreon member, forget a super chat. It's $20 a month, ask away. So that'll be really fun because I'll have had time to probably watch the game 3 or 4 times at that point, Singer, and really get into answering some fan questions. So no, it's been great, man.
Love it. Is you 39 says Tyson Ford apparently had half a lung removed, according to some reports. So yeah, that is not something that I recalled. So yeah, that's kind of what we're talking about. Like,
if that's the case, then I completely redact anything I said earlier.
Right. Yeah. Same here. That's what I was saying. I couldn't remember this injury. It just seemed like he wasn't getting on the field. So if that is the case, yeah, we're with you on that. Mr. Goolsby, 2025 recruiting class for the Irish, 21 commits. It is the number 1 class in all the independents in the country. Notre Dame has had that title every year in its existence. Kidding. It's about the same.
We're beating Navy, dude.
Hey, man, that's what's up.
Finally.
Gross, baby. The class score, according to like the the On3 does their rankings as a average of recruit scores, if that makes sense. Like the recruit ranking, like Will Black has a 94.34. Whereas the lowest player in the class is an 86.43. So the class score is 91.88, which is 0.07 less than it was last cycle. And I think Notre Dame will eclipse that with the remaining targets on the board. But I'm curious, Mike. I've know what you have said about this class before in text to me and Tim. I'm curious what you're thinking about it right now as the month of June has gone on. And I know you said you don't dig in too much to the targets, but I know you know who's out there. Yeah, some of the big names, especially at the linebacker position. So how are you kind of feeling about this class right now?
Well, I wanted to bring this up, Mike, because I like putting you on the spot.
Oh, okay. Fun.
So like Derek Meadows, where are we at, dude? You're the recruiting guru. Where are we at?
Yeah.
Where are we at with these wide receivers? Where are we at with who's the speedster? What's his face? Unique first name. Tanuk Hines. Where are we at with him? Where are we at with Meadows?
Did write a big report about this at blueandgold.com.
There you go. $1 for 2 months, folks.
There you go. So hold on. Let me see if I can throw it up on the site. So there it is. Yeah, the gold standard.
We need wide receivers, but go ahead. I'm buying you time.
So stock report where the top targets are trending. So I will say that to please check that out at Blue and Gold. But I would say I like Notre Dame for Meadows. I actually feel pretty good about that one. And I wrote in the article, like, I don't know if I'm out on a limb here, but I think that Notre Dame leads there, and I actually feel pretty good about it. I think the Irish end up getting Derek Meadows, and then I think they split with Tanook Hines and Dylan Robinson. Tanook is that was he like a 10-5, 10-4 kid?
10-4-5, I looked it up the other day.
And then Dylan Robinson is, I think, like 6'2", 190, that kind of profile, a receiver from Southern California. I could see them landing both. My gut right now is they get Meadows and then one of those two. And then there's a kid, John Anthony Hall from in-state, who I don't think the Irish will end up getting, but they hosted him on campus for an official. So if they get 4, Mike, so they got the 2 that I would just have said, right? Meadows and then the split, in addition to Jerome Bettis and Elijah Burris. And then I think there's a possibility that they would go into senior film, evaluate some guys, and if they really like someone they're convicted about, go after a 5th, or if there's a flip down the road or something like that, like a Saldate from last year or a KK Smith the year before. There are a lot of receivers out there, Mike, so you can find some guys late.
God, have we ever talked about that on this podcast?
Yeah, have we ever? And then somehow Notre Dame still struggled. But yeah, Mike. So that's my receiver take.
That's fair. So love Meadows, and I think Meadows is a bit of a project. He's a bit of a project, but really unique body type, really unique skill set. Definitely a jump ball guy. I like Burris quite a bit. That John Anthony Hall, I mean, looking up the track times, it's no bueno. So if we miss out on that kid, I won't be sad about it. Tanook Hines, again, he's a kid I like just because he can run. He needs a little bit more polish at the position, but the kid can flat out fly. So, but the class as a whole, there's a ton of players that you really, really do like. You hope you can hang on to Ivan Taylor, who's going to be a Swiss Army knife for us on defense.
But like a Swiss Army knife, but like an elite one.
Oh yeah,
so good. Yeah, he's my favorite recruit in the class, I think. And
you'd expect him to play early. The kid's just got the DNA. He's got the know-how. He's going to understand it. You know, Mark Zachary's another kid that I've studied a little bit. Talked about this on Patreon at length. Speaking of length, I don't know if I've ever seen a kid with as long arms as Mark Zachary has. His arms are incredibly long at the cornerback position. I mean, call Guinness World Book, dude. Obviously, Deuce Knight, I think, could be the first pick overall in terms of like one day down the road. In terms of, I've always said this, Mike. Sometimes God touches these kids like they are just gifted. And Deuce is one of those kids, and he seems to be completely bought in and humble in terms of his approach and the desire to get better.
Yeah.
Did you have something to say?
I do. How well can you see the screen, Mike? Like, can you see
crystal clear?
All right, can you pull out your phone? Pull out the stopwatch. You want to time Deuce Knight's 40-yard dash at Irish Invasion?
Oh, well, no, because it's not clinical. You know what I will do? If you play it in slow motion, I'll count the number of steps he takes, and that'll tell me what he runs, give or take.
Oh, okay.
That's somebody that trains kids. Can you play this in slow mo for me, Mike?
I can like.
So I'm looking for 3 steps in the first 5 yards here. Head down. Why is your head up, Deuce? But anyways.
Sorry, this is not like.
And this is a rough start. His shin's like completely vertical as somebody that trains kids on how to do this. I'm just counting steps. 17 to 19 steps is a great time with a 40.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, I'm like trying to drag this. So is that 1?
2. So 3.5 to 5. But he's like a 4.5-ish, 4.53, something.
Yeah,
like
he ran 2. He ran 2 sub-4.6s.
I counted like 16.
Yeah, it was impressive. I mean, I took this video.
And this is what I want people to understand. So we had Justin Thurman, who's a 4.3 kid in the 2025 class, all-purpose back on the Patreon yesterday. Dude, and these Notre Dame kids, they're better at talking than I am.
He's amazing.
I've been doing it. It's incredible. So he runs 4.3, Thurman, and he was like, yeah, he's like, I was just out there running. And it's like he accidentally kind of ran a 4.3, meaning he's not training for this.
Right.
So like
Same
me
Deuce.
just watching Deuce's clip, his head is kind of even. Your body goes where your eyes go. He should have his head down. His shin angle is kind of vertical. You'd like to be a little bit more lean. So Deuce is just dicking around running 4.5s.
Yeah.
Deuce is just dicking around jumping 6'10" in the high jump. He doesn't train for any of this stuff. He can't.
And
we're talking about a world-class athlete.
And he just started getting private quarterback training in like March.
Yeah.
And then he goes out and is on three's top overall performer at the Elite 11. Just scratching the surface. I'm totally with you, dude. He has number 1 overall pick potential. Like he's that good.
He's that good.
He's getting better by the day.
And like I said, I think there's an element of, talked about this on the other platform. Like you look at Dante Moore, DJ Ugliunlie, like a lot of their dads are involved. A lot of their dads are kind of like the puppet master here, kind of like pulling the strings. We're going over here. We're doing this. We're doing that. I think Deuce has a mind of his own, and he's kind of writing his own story. And that's really refreshing to me. And like he's a super humble kid on top of it. And that's like, yes, he's blessed with all these physical tools, and he's humble enough to like want to continue to get better and better. And beyond that, he's everywhere. He doesn't need to listen, folks. If I'm Deuce Knight, I ain't running that 40 for those
Hell
coaches.
no.
Hell no, Mike.
Hell no.
Hell
Why?
no.
Dude, he just ran the same 40 time in Carrollton, Georgia 3 months ago. And yeah, he didn't need to. He wants to. And I love it. He's good.
So then you sit there and like, who is he? Is he Cam Newton? Is he this? Who cares? But like I watched that Anthony Richardson, that quarterback from Florida, that was the 3rd pick overall by the Colts last year's draft. He ran 4.41 and he swerved going down the track. So he would have been a 4.39. And like, yes, if Deuce got a trainer and he went to Arizona and worked on his 40 before the NFL draft, he's a 4.4 kid, and he'll be 230 pounds by then.
Yeah. I interviewed Elijah Burris, and I asked him, why did you do the testing? And you know what he said? I'm a competitor, and Deuce was doing it, so I wanted to.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Deuce is already he's the leader, he's the face. The kids follow that example. I don't know if we've ever agreed on anything as much as we do on this, Mike.
No, and you said, you said you met the guy, shook his hand. You've been around Deuce.
Oh, yeah, a few times.
You could just tell by the way he left-handed. He spins that ball. I mean, he's,
yeah. When he was at the On3 event, they did measure his hands. They didn't check in at like a top level, but they were like above average. Like they were good. They were good.
It's whatever. I just look at the way the kid spins the ball. Won the long toss thing, threw it 71 yards. And I also love, too, about Deuce, he's got a little bit of that. Aaron Rodgers was the first one that I saw to start doing this, where they kind of jump off of their toes. Like when they let that ball go, they're up on their toes, gives them a little bit different release point. Like, and then it's all that torque in that hips. Like he's been working on his release and all that. But back to the class, Dallas Golden's, one of everybody's favorite players. Love James Flanagan.
Yep.
He's one of those kids. He could be the next one. Christopher Burgess is an NFL kid to me. Will Black's an NFL kid to me. Owen Strebig's an NFL kid to me. I love Justin Thurman. I thought he reminds me a little bit of Dylan Edwards on film, who was a commit for us, who ended up bouncing out to Colorado at one point.
Yep. Stronger competition for Thurman than in.
Yeah.
Kansas.
Elijah Burris to me, like, again, he moves the right way. Obviously there's DNA involved, but the rest of the mix, like, Hulak, you like all of these kids, love Ethan Long. There's just a couple head scratcher where it's just like, that class is very top heavy to me. So I don't see us, I'm not saying anything. I just bit my tongue. But we'll see what happens with the linebacker room. The couple is Madden Feriamo and Owusu Boateng.
Yeah.
Owusu Boateng seemed like he liked his Michigan visit a lot.
It did. Yeah, he said quotes like outshined.
Expectations.
Yeah. Well, that I hear often, but you don't often hear kids say it outshined the other visits I took. So I think what could swing things in Notre Dame's favor is if he doesn't rush to make a decision. He did tweet out big news. I don't think it's going to be a commitment. I think that he's going to wait a little bit. I mean, I don't think it's going to be the next week or two he's going to commit. I think he's going to take his time a little bit. So I think if you're a Notre Dame fan, this is what you need to see happen. Needs a strong word. The football team's not going to fall apart, but keep the commits. You know who I'm talking about. Get Meadows, Farimo, Blair. Those three things happen. It's up there with Notre Dame recruiting classes. Keep the commits, and you know who I'm talking about. I'm talking about Deuce, Ivan Taylor, the guys who these other schools are actively coming after. And then, Meadows, Blair, Farimo, dude, and it is a baller class. I mean, that would be – I don't know where it'll end up being in the rankings, but that would be probably – I mean, I would have to be Freeman's best class, especially looking at the top-heavy part of things, Mike. Just the amount of impact players they're getting, that would be a hell of a
absolutely, yeah. It will. I mean, Will Black is a fantastic player. Ivan Taylor is a fantastic player. I mean, and just what Deuce Knight could mean, will mean to this program. I mean, if you lost an Ivan Taylor and you kept a Deuce Knight, if you kept Ivan Taylor and lost Deuce Knight,
yeah,
I would be heartbroken.
Yeah, there's a positional importance there with Deuce, obviously. Yeah, I don't even like to include him in some of these articles about like who Notre Dame needs to land, because I'll include Ivan Taylor because I basically view him as an uncommitted prospect, and I include Deuce just because people want to know what's going on with him. But yeah, I've really ranted about this. I don't really care to talk about Ole Miss and Deuce Knight anymore. You know, if he visits there, then we could talk about it. But for now, there's literally nothing there, except for a lot of people trying to speak it into existence. So,
amen. Words and actions. So it's somebody else's written words versus Deuce's actions.
Yep.
And Mike, real quick, before we move on, we had Deuce on the show real quick. Remember, he popped in for 5 minutes or whatever was the case.
It was amazing.
It's a nice memory for your boy over here.
And me, yeah.
Did he not say, and I know I heard him say this, but I don't know if it was on that particular instance. Didn't he say that his mother taught him that money is the root of all evil? Do you recall that?
Yeah.
So that has really stuck in my brain, because if I worry about an SEC school, if I worry about Ole Miss, especially Deuce living in the deep South, I mean, he's in rural Mississippi. There's a ton of pressure on that kid. Just think about it. And I'm like, okay, well, if they're going to leave a bag of cash on a grandma's porch, I don't think stuff like that is going to sway a Deuce, because as I said, his mother taught him long ago that money's the root of all evil. But there's one thing to be worried about, it'd be a bag of cash, and I don't think that's at play here.
I would also add, I think it would be another concern if your example about the DJ Uiagalelei, right? The dad kind of doing the puppeteering. Mm-hmm. That's not the case with Deuce, and I think from what I know about the family, they're solid. It's very solid people who would like to see their son at Notre Dame. So that's another thing that makes you feel good about it.
Oh, man. Is he going to be special?
Dude, I'm pumped.
Moving on.
A couple super chats, Mike. A very serious one here from John. He says, who wins in an Oklahoma drill, Goolsby in his prime or our new 6'6", 215 Aussie rules football heartthrob punter?
Super chat season, dude. It's back. Hey, listen, if we got a helmet and shoulder pads on, I'm gonna wreck that guy. But if we're playing Aussie rules, but if we got a helmet and shoulder pads on, it's not a question, dude.
J-Vit says, miss you, gentlemen. Good to see the Mike and Mikes. Singer, dying to get your view on the linebacker recruiting after the buzz this week around Fremo and Owusu Boateng. Yeah, I kind of touch on this. I think they still land Madden Fremo from Southern California. I think his visit to Texas exceeded expectations for him. I think Texas is a bigger contender than he thought. And then from what my sources think, so it might end up being a Notre Dame-Texas battle, whereas maybe before it was Notre Dame-Washington. So I think it might be Notre Dame-Texas. Not 100% sure where USC fits into that equation, but I like Notre Dame for Fremo still. He's going to take his time. Hopefully he finds some church camp to go to like Kingston did last year. And yeah, I like where the Irish are out there. And then Owusu Boateng, your guess is as good as mine, to be completely honest with you, J-Vid. So I appreciate it.
And Owusu Boateng, dude, he likes this recruiting thing. And God bless. God bless. But he likes the recruiting thing. He's enjoying all these visits, all the photo shoots. It's just like, all right.
Yeah. Mike, running backs. So you have Jabron Payne is out. Freeman has said not necessarily for the entire season, but it's going to be a good chunk of the season. I mean, he had a nice little role last year. Good blocking back, caught some balls out of the backfield here and there. Good short yardage back, those kind of things. Who do you expect to fill that role of Payne in those things that we just talked about? But really, I mean, just that third running back. If Price and Love are your top two guys, as we expect, who do you see emerging as that number three guy? I mean, you got Aeneas Williams, Keidron Young, and then Devin Ford, I believe Freeman confirmed is moving back to running back.
Yeah, Ford's going to move back and what a kid, Devin Ford. Big fan of his, willing to do whatever it takes to support the team. You got to love it. But we did see, I think last year, Mike, I think we saw 5 backs like get meaningful, legitimate carries, like a real rotation. Obviously, Payne being one of them. Who steps into that role? It's either Keidron Young or it's Aeneas Williams. I like Keidron Young over Aeneas Williams as like just a classic tailback. But I know that Keidron got effing jacked when he got here, early enrollee. Like he was the type of kid that can look at a dumbbell and put on like 5 pounds of muscle just with his DNA, the bodybuilder type, And he was packing on some pounds. So he didn't play a lot this spring, but I prefer Keidron as a classic running back. All of these kids can catch the ball. Keidron can catch the ball, and Aeneas Williams can catch the ball. Because you think about Payne as a third down back, pass pro, getting out on routes. But he was also, like, looking at him this spring in the spring game, unfortunately, the game he tore his ACL, he was physical, dude. He knocked out Preston Zinner on a downhill run in the red zone, knocked him out, caught a knee in the side of the helmet. He was out cold. So who runs harder? Aeneas runs hard. Keidron Young runs hard. Who has better hands? I think they can both catch. So that'll be an interesting, intriguing storyline to follow. And then you've got Devin Ford in the mix. So it's going to be who can, earn Coach McCullough's trust to get those valuable third down reps. Maybe I give the early nod to Aeneas. I just never saw the speed with Aeneas at the high school level that might translate to college. He's never looked that fast to me.
Mike, want to end the show talking about Jaylen Sneed.
Let's.
Now, when you had sent me what you wanted to talk about, Mike, you had said, has he been written off due to the 5-star status? So, and I was thinking about this today, like what angle you're thinking about this, and I was like, is it more about because he had so much expectations because of his high ranking, because the offer list of Oregon and Bama and Tennessee and all these schools, we just had such a magnifying glass on him that when he doesn't meet those expectations in year 1, year 2, that we just kind of write him off. We don't give him the time like we would give other guys. Is that your line of thinking here? Like, you still pretty excited about Jaylen Sneed?
Hell yeah.
Okay.
And I'm saying yes. It's just, again, I talk about this a lot on Patreon, fandom. It's me being in this role. It's always interesting to try to, like, sociologically, like, look at fandom. It's like fans love to complain. Tim Hyde's texting me about lack of 5 stars visiting. Like, everybody 5-star, 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 5-star. Jaylen Sneed was a 5-star. We're over the moon that we signed him, but then when he doesn't, like, quote unquote, pan out year 1 or year 2, are we calling him a bust? Because now it's like Osbury's the new shiny toy, Drake Bowen's the new shiny toy at the linebacker position that people are looking forward to seeing. Nobody's really talking about Sneed, through my lens anyway. And sometimes it just takes kids longer. And as we've said on this show, Jaylen Sneed played some sort of weird hybrid safety position. Jaylen Sneed played defensive end. You know, these are like different. Sophomore year, he's like defensive end. Senior year, he's like this 8-yard depth middle linebacker / safety. And as somebody that's played that position before, it takes time to like process how to run fit and all of this stuff. And he's done what he can as a pass rusher, as a spot duty guy. But yes, I'm super stoked to see what Jaylen's got up his sleeve this year. And I, by no means am I writing the kid off. But I just find it frustrating that I feel like fans are like, oh, we got a 5-star and he isn't like an All-American as a freshman. They think he's like a bust or something.
He's supposed to have 3 years of eligibility as well, because he redshirted as a freshman, played in all 13 games last year, and then, 3 more years to play, dude.
He's one of the most talented kids that we have on the team. As, again, back to the spring, who's the fastest conversation. They were like, well, Sneed's top 10. Some kid volunteered out of left field. Sneed's top 10.
Did you get to meet Jaylen?
No. I will say, when I was there, and still to this day, I am not a natural Notre Dame fit, right? In terms of like my personality and all this stuff.
You're not a sweetheart of a kid.
Come again?
You're not a sweetheart of a kid like some of these others. Is that what you're saying?
You know what I'm saying. I'll be 42 in September, still lack the polish that a lot of these, again, I had Justin Thurman on, the guy's blows, like it's intimidating how well these 16, 17-year-old kids speak.
Yep.
It's staggering. And I feel less than talking to these kids.
Yeah.
But Jaylen was at that dinner and he kind of sat by himself. Not a wine and cheese guy. And I think the wine and cheese era at Notre Dame is coming to an end. Anyway, like Jaylen was kind of off by himself. Like a Jordan Botelho isn't a Notre Dame fit. But like some of that DNA is exactly what you want on the defensive side of the ball in particular. Does that make sense?
Okay.
So I don't know if Jaylen was comfortable in that kind of networking environment. And I don't want to bug him. But he was kind of, I didn't get a chance to speak with him. Am I making sense, Singer?
No, you are. But from, I felt like I crushed the Jaylen Sneed recruiting coverage when Notre Dame was after him. And he's definitely a super Notre Dame kid, though. So maybe that just wasn't his best environment. But, yeah, that's him. Botelho, I'm with you on that one. But Sneed is a sweetheart of a kid.
No, he is a sweetheart of a kid. But maybe he just had an off day in that environment. But I was like, in a way, I saw him sitting by himself, and I kind of respected it. If I say anything,
yeah,
does that make sense?
Yeah, I'm with you.
Like I told you, I talked to KBA, another kid that was like a little bit intimidating. He's so stoic.
Yes,
and he was looking through me, and I'm like, golly.
Who else?
Like that. Well, in terms of guys that like impressed me talking to him, I think Mitch Evans is another one of those dudes. Like Mitch Evans, like absolutely has
very comfortable in his skin.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Off the top of my head. I always respect kids that'll say what they think versus they're saying what they think they want you to hear. I'll always respect that.
Yeah.
I find it very refreshing.
John says KVA speaks like a 20-year NFL vet as his enshrinement ceremony. 100%. Yeah.
No, his parents did great.
Yes.
He's a very impressive young man. So no, I'm thrilled for Jaylen this year. I think in that linebacker room as a whole, inevitably, I think you'll probably see more busts in the run game, just somebody jumping out of their gap. But hell, I mean, we watched Maris for 3 years. That son of a bitch still couldn't diagnose a play. Still couldn't diagnose a play coming at him. So I'm not gonna throw Sneed out, the baby out with the bathwater when it comes to Sneed. But I do think you'll see a few more busts in the run game. But I also think on the flip side of that, you're going to see more plays made, more tip passes, more interceptions, more tackle for loss, more forced fumbles. I think that'll be a nice balance there. And I also know Coach Golden, I don't think he cares about stopping the run as much as he does creating havoc.
Mike Goolsby on the state of Notre Dame football. You have to be pretty pleased right now, right?
Oh yeah, man. Yeah. Yeah. Here's where I'm at. I've what is it? Staples, the office supply store. They have the easy button commercials.
Yeah.
Somewhat akin to that. I wish I had a fast forward button. There's just some part of me that wants to fast forward like a year or two-ish down the road. We get past the rental quarterback phase. We didn't even talk about O-line. We'll save it for another day.
Yeah.
I even had a prop ready. But I'm just like, man, a couple, 2-3 years down the road, like I'm ecstatic. I'm ecstatic.
I am too, dude.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I can see it and I can't unsee it. I can just see some things coming together. O-line wise, Jeremiah Love as like a junior, you know what I'm saying? I could just see some things.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, dude. Great show.
Thanks, Mike. You too, buddy.
We'll get it back together. Probably in 3-4 weeks. And how about we'll get the three amigos on?
Well, I think about it often. I'm really looking forward to the position room rankings. I look forward to that. It's a tradition around here. So I don't know if we do that post camp or near.
Is that what we did? Did we do that? You guys, or did we do grades?
What'd I say?
You said rankings.
I meant grades.
Okay. Because I know that we've done articles like that at Blue and Gold where we list them and from best to worst position groups, but the grades where last year I forced you, or not forced you.
Coerced.
And I'm coerced. I guilted you. How about guilted you into what, a C plus?
I went from a C to a B minus on the wide receiver room. Trying to make people happy.
All right, Mike, we need the prop. Everyone's asking for the prop. Can you?
We'll have to wait. Call that a tease in the industry, Singer.
All right, folks, you know what to do. Hit the thumbs up on this video. Subscribe to the YouTube channel as well. Leave us a nice review if you like listening to the pod. blueandgold.com, your home for all things Notre Dame Fighting Irish football and recruiting coverage. Mike pops up on the board sometimes. That's always a treat. I'm always there. So get on the message board, interact with us. Go check out Goolsby's Patreon. It's in the link in his Twitter bio. If you like Goolsby and John Kennedy, you're definitely going to love that. So please check that out. That's going to sign us off for this show.
Fun show, Mike.
Fun show. I will be tweeting about the next one. Did you see it, Mike? I said 100 likes and we'll do a Goolsby show tonight. Of course, we already set that in stone a week ago. But Brady Quinn liked it. So I wonder if Brady watched. Brady, if you're watching, hello.
Oh, Brady's a busy man. It's a relationship, a Notre Dame relationship I cherish. So
great guy.
I'm glad that he does.
All right, folks. As always, we will catch you next time. Have a great night.